Hello and welcome to this review of my DAS keyboard Model S. After I did my review of the original DAS keyboard, I quickly got offered this Model S for donation, as well as a DAS 5Q, which will be the subject of next week's review actually. Thanks guys! In contrast to the original, which was a Keytronic rubber dome keyboard, almost every other DAS has been a hardcore Cherry MX based product, so much so that the second version was actually a rebranded G83,000. Their offerings generally come with either MX Brown or MX Blue, this one uses the latter, and unlike many other manufacturers, they've been relatively faithful to Cherry, not wanting to dip their toes in the clone switch market. Now, this is a Mac version, which means that the Alt and Windows keys are the wrong way around, which usually drives me barking mad for a week. And it's also the Model S, whatever that may mean. There's nothing on the product page to describe what Model S may stand for. Maybe it's for volume knobless, as it's missing the iconic DAS volume knob that's normally here. And while we're on the product page anyway, let's look at this bit where it goes on about uber quality, boldly stating that when Germans engineer it, you know it has to be good, which is a daring statement indeed, considering neither DAS nor Cherry are actually German, but whatever. It says it's made of the highest quality materials and robust construction. So, how well does the build quality actually hold up? Well, the case is a glossy block of black plastic, Darth Vader approved, as they mention in the product page. Indeed, it does look pretty evil, but I find it very ugly to be honest, especially this tumor-esque growth here at the top right, which I find looks absolutely hideous. A clever little trick is that they hit the lock lights so that you can't see them when they're off. Well, really only the caps lock because it's a Mac model, but anyway. So it looks like there's none like this, but when I turn it on, you can see it. Clever! But anyway, back to the case. It weighs about 350 grams on its own, which is really not a lot. But the assembly is pretty decent, with a thick metal mounting plate bringing the total weight to a little under 1.2 kilograms, which is about 200 grams shy of a Dell Bigfoot. No idea how much that is in Imperial Flurple Derbs, though. 1.2 kilos is fairly standard for a non-low budget, so to speak, modern keyboard. Unfortunately, it suffers from an issue a lot of modern keyboards do have. The case is held together with screws, of which some are hidden behind the rubber feet, so you have to take those off to take the board apart. Now, in this case, I actually managed to get them off without damage to the sticky strip, but usually, such as in the case of this Logitech, the strip tears off and you can't stick it back on again, causing permanent damage to the board. Even if you do manage to get them off like this though, repeated on and offs will quickly make the strips lose their stickiness, so this is just an all-round terrible design decision. I mean, why not just put them a centimeter below or something where they can be taken out without damage? This is unacceptable! But wait, we're not done yet. Again, like many modern boards, after you get rid of the screws, there's hidden plastic clips on the inside that hold it together, and you need to somehow pry them apart. Now, this is of course prone to leaving marks on your glossy black case if you use a screwdriver or tweezers or some other tool, but what's almost just as impossible is to take them off without breaking at least one of them, and indeed one of them has snapped off on my board. Just great. I mean, why is this even a thing? Why can't I just have 6 fucking screws on the back to hold it together and none of this hidden and or plastic bullshit? Especially in light of all this, I do find it rather offensive that they dare compare themselves to the IBM Model M further down the page, because I can already spoil for you that apart from this keyboard having N-key rollover, which the Model M doesn't have, this is nothing remotely like an M. It's a kid's toy compared to the old IBM Classic in my opinion. And I don't say that just because it's only barely above half the weight of one, or because the case is a paper-thin piece of plastic shit with hidden screws and clips, although that surely doesn't help it. To add to this, for a keyboard whose designers have dared compare their product to a Model M, the keycaps are disappointing at best, and almost insultingly bad at worst. They're made out of thin ABS and use what appears to be cheap lasered and infilled legends with a font that looks absolutely hideous. How they think this could possibly stand up to the M's chunks of elegantly die-subbed PBT is frankly beyond me. Not to mention Helvetica is an infinitely better font than whatever this rubbish might be. It's not just scribbly, but also very small actually, and I find it very difficult to read. At least the font on this Mac version is still in the top left, unlike Apple's usual placement of legends in the bottom left before they started using scissor switches in all their keyboards, which, dreadful as they may have been, at least fixed that particular issue. And then there's the switches. This one uses Cherry MX Blue. Now, I've mentioned before, MX Blue is my favorite type of MX switch. If you disregard the horrendous plastic racket they put out, they actually don't feel too bad. I like them. But still, in a world of world-class clicky alternatives, they don't hold up all that well against the competition, I'd say. Certainly not against the buckling springs in a Model M, in my opinion. After all, these are pretty high-tier switches that have been praised as the gold standard for decades. I mean, those engineers at IBM really knew what they were doing, and the soundtrack is both highly distinctive and quite pleasing to the ear. Damn, I feel like I'm reviewing the M more than I'm reviewing the DAS here. Maybe it's just wishful thinking. This Model S doesn't have backlighting. I guess that's why they went with these caps as well, as normally RGB and infilling don't combine very well, but this might allow them to keep the manufacturing costs down. I honestly don't mind the lack of RGB though. It's got 2 USB pass-through ports, which is also why the cable is so thick, and just for fun I tried to plug in the receiver for my wireless mouse into it, and it worked. Apart from also being PS2 compatible using an included adapter, that's basically it, and they must have known because the product description page is really scraping the bottom of the barrel, including features such as 2 Windows keys and bumps on F and J keys. I mean, whoa guys. Overall, it's really just a keyboard, to be honest. It's not explicitly bad or anything, but I just failed to see how this would justify its $119 price tag considering it's spit ugly and has no features, let alone a choice of only 2 types of switches, which frankly sounds presumptuous. I mean, so what if there are people out there who like linear switches? Just cut the elitist drivel and let people choose what they want. Besides, I take a good linear board over this any day. That's it for this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. And following is a typing demonstration of me typing on this keyboard.